Good morning, 3 past 6 o'clock. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Erin's out until Monday. That means Matt has local news up next.
A couple of massage parlor owners pled guilty in Caddo Court. We'll be covering that. A woman's dead following a late-night shooting. We'll have some details on that. And at Barksdale, they get one of their first female leaders, which is kind of cool.
I don't know if we'll get to that right out of the box this morning, but Mike Johnson was on Fox News yesterday talking about single-payer health care and why it's a disaster, or at least a disaster waiting to happen. I got a kind of a take on that I'm not sure anybody else has. Sort of like yesterday and the mayoral race questions. Oh, and a little feedback on that one, too. Fletcher in sports, traffic, and weather. It's all coming up this hour, and it's right here on KEEL.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
A woman is dead following a late-night shooting in Shreveport. The shooting happened in the 1900 block of Alston Street around 8 p.m. Wednesday night. When officers arrived on the scene, the female victim was dead due to a gunshot wound to the abdomen. Two people were in the house at the time of the shooting. They were both taken in for questioning in the case. Two local massage parlor owners plead out in Caddo Court. Leanan Teenan and his wife Bing Bing Lee have pled guilty to various charges in a Caddo Court. The owners of the Palm Asia Massage Parlor were arrested last year on human trafficking charges. Tien pled guilty to the human trafficking charge and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. He will also have to forfeit all assets that law enforcement feel were used to facilitate the crime of human trafficking. His wife Bing Bing pled guilty to the lesser charge of money laundering. She was sentenced to 6 months in prison with credit for time served. The 307th Bomb Wing gets their first female leader. Colonel Courtney Hamilton has been named as the first female vice commander of the 307th Bomb Wing at Barksdale Air Force Base. Hamilton will assist Wing Commander Colonel Robert Van Hoy. Hamilton graduated flight school in 1999 and has logged more than 2,000 flight hours. She has spent most of her career as a fighter pilot and instructor. Did Attorney General Jeff Landry just jump into the 2019 governor's race? Matt Doyle has more on that.
Landry says if he ran, he'd beat Edwards, and that's from a recent interview with USA Today Network. UL Lafayette political science professor Pearson Cross says it's not official, but it certainly sounds serious.
I think he's trying the waters. He's saying, okay, can I be that guy?
And Landry's history shows he runs some tough races.
He will be a dogged campaigner and certainly not one to be taken lightly.
Cross says look for Landry to ramp up attacks on two issues in particular.
The death penalty, he's going to talk about the explosion in taxes that balance the state budget.
I'm Matt Doyle.
For the first time in years, Louisianans on the Affordable Care Act's individual markets will see a rate decrease. The 6.4% drop will be put in place for 2019. Blue Cross Louisiana spokesperson Robin Mayhall says after several years of rate hikes related to regulatory uncertainty surrounding the program, things have started to level out.
We have recently had a little bit more stability in the individual market. We've still had a few ups and downs, but it has been a little bit easier, I think, for us to predict.
Mayhall says the premium decrease is the result of a more profitable turn for the individual markets, and she says as a nonprofit, the company reinvested those funds into the program that generate lower rates. A train wreck causes major headaches in Bossier Parish. There were major traffic delays on Benton Road Wednesday afternoon after an 18-wheeler collided with a train. The accident happened around 2:30 near the old Hat Creek dirt pit. Luckily, no one was injured in the crash. And Papa John's founder says he should return as the chain's public face. John Schnatter says it was a mistake for the company to remove his image from its marketing after he acknowledged using a racial slur. He said in an interview with the Associated Press that his public presence can help the pizza chain once the public understands the context of his comments. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Nine past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, the KEEL app, a free download from Office Furniture Source. Here's Ruben.
Looks like I-49 South's got it clear all the way to Alexandria right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Sunshine with a high of 94 today. Clear, low 69 tonight. Sunshine, high 94 tomorrow. A shower or thunderstorm on Saturday. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
.101.7 FM, 710. Did I slur that?
A little bit.
I can't see. I can't see this morning. No, I'm serious. 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Erin off this week, back on Monday morning. No, I can't. Okay, you'll notice these are not the glasses I had on yesterday.
They're not?
No, this is, okay, the pair that I wear usually are about 5 years old, maybe 6. The ones I have on today are a couple of years old, relatively new. You know, they say, get your eyes checked every couple of years. They also say that, what is it about an engagement ring? 2 months' salary? But that's another story. So these glasses I got in the last, say, 2 to 2.5 years. And I wore them for about 3 or 4 months. And I started getting these really awful headaches. And I have no idea why, but I can't wear these anymore. So I took them off, put the old ones back on. And about every 6 months, I think, well, maybe my eyes have deteriorated to the point I can wear the new ones. And so I put these back on, and I have them on for about like an hour or so. And so right now, not only can I not see, my head is throbbing.
Ooh, that sucks.
I have an Anacin headache. Remember, if you're old enough from the 60s commercials, there was like a guy who was being beaten on the head with an animated sledgehammer. That's where I am right now. So you liked what I asked McCoy?
I did. It definitely got me to thinking.
Did you hear his answer?
I did not.
Okay, because it was kind of awesome. What I said to McCoy, and Erin and I have talked about this a little bit, I said, and she talks about the Allman Brothers Eat a Peach. And I said, what's the most influential, life-changing, what music, what record album or CD or 8-track or whatever it happens to be from any point in your life had the most effect? And Erin said the Allman Brothers, late 60s, although she was not exposed to it till later, Allman Brothers Eat a Peach. And she said I'd never heard anything like that before. It just opened up what? There's music beyond Donnie and Marie or whatever bubblegum pop she listened to at the time. And I've thought about that a lot. Not what she said. I don't have one, and I feel like I miss out. I can't think of one. There are albums that I have, music that I enjoy immensely, but as far as opening new vistas of intellectual thought, I don't know. I can't think of. Maybe one will pop into my head because you've been thinking about it for the last couple of minutes. And you said, I've got 9. I'm going to try and narrow it down to 3.
Well, I picked an album that kind of combined several other albums, so we'll get to it when it's my turn.
It's your turn. I'm thinking Bob Dylan something.
No, actually.
Foo Fighters something.
No. I love the Foo Fighters, but they haven't exactly changed my life.
Really? So I'm trying to think. Bob Dylan is one of your favorites.
You're close with Bob Dylan.
Frank Sinatra?
You were closer with Bob Dylan.
Okay, who?
Johnny Cash.
What?
And I picked the album live at...
We've known each other for how long?
10 years, 11 years.
And you've been producer on this show for 2.5.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard you mention Johnny Cash as a musical favorite.
Oh, I love Johnny Cash. Everything I know about being a man you can find on Johnny Cash records.
Interesting. Expound.
Well, for instance, one of my favorite songs of all time is The Legend of John Henry's Hammer, and that's probably why I hate technology. Because if you actually listen to the song and read the lyrics, it's the man's battle against the machine. One of my favorite lines in the song, I wrote it down after I heard you ask the question, is, now did the Lord say that machines ought to take the place of living? And what's the substitute for bread and beans? I ain't seen it. Do engines get rewarded for their steam? So anytime we start talking
Wait a minute. Read that again a little more slowly, because that is freaking awesome. And the fact that you recognized that is even more freaking awesome. Go ahead.
Now, did the Lord say that machines ought to take the place of living? And what's the substitute for bread and beans? I ain't seen it. Do engines get rewarded for their steam?
And the fact that you have related that, made that applicable to early 21st century man with cell phones and digital fill in the blank and whatever. That's pretty great.
Every time we talk about like self-checkout lines and all that stuff, that line just pops in my head immediately.
Go ahead.
You're just taking food off of someone's table.
Now that you mention that, there is a lyric that's not life-changing to me, but every time I hear it, I think the following, and it's George Strait, Amarillo by Morning. I'll be looking for 8 when they pull that gate, and I hope that judge ain't blind. And all I think is that encompasses everything that makes America great. All I want is a fair chance. All I want is my shot. And all I want in return from the world is that it treats me fairly. I'll be looking for 8 when they pull that gate, and I hope the judge ain't blind. Just give me a chance. I will succeed or I will fail on my own. And part of the beauty of, not the beauty of failure, but at least, I've told you this before, not to get way off track, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he was a local assistant golf pro for a number of years, and he wanted to try one of the mini tours, and he was in his early 20s. And he got a bunch of guys together, and they gave him a little money, and they, some backers, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And he went out and he played on this mini tour for about 10 months to a year. Let's say he played 20 tournaments. And he made about 2 or 3 cuts is all. In other words, he wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? He's a 24 or 25 he's much older now. He's a 24 or 25-year-old guy who knows where he stands in the scheme of things. He's not going to be a 35 or a 40-year-old man, married with a couple of kids, angry at his wife or angry at his kids for holding him back because he never had his shot. He gave it a shot, and he knows where he stands in the scheme of things. He knows in his heart, I did the best I could. And it was time to move on.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be looking for 8 when they pull that gate, and I hope that judge ain't blind.
Well, you look at every song Johnny Cash wrote, it's about the little guy doing the right thing, fighting for what's right, working, and sometimes the little guy wins, sometimes the little guy loses, but he always fights the battle.
19 past, that was great, dude. 19 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, traffic update, Ruben's here.
Looks like I-49 South's got it clear all the way to Alexandria right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be sunny with a high of 94, then clear, low 69 tonight. Sunshine with a high of 94 tomorrow. A shower or thunderstorm on Saturday. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Twenty-one past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, sports update. Here's Timmy.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Ohio State football coach Urban Meyer was placed on paid administrative leave Wednesday after Brett McMurphy reported the Buckeyes coach was most likely aware that an assistant on his staff had committed domestic assault. McMurphy, formerly with ESPN, reported his findings on his own Facebook page, producing damning screenshots of texts and pictures of the victim, Courtney Smith, the estranged wife of former Meyer assistant Zach Smith. McMurphy reported the abuse began in 2009 when Smith was on Meyer's Florida staff and continued until 2015 in Columbus, Ohio. During the Big Ten Media Days last week, Meyer denied having any knowledge of Smith's alleged abuse. McMurphy's report, cemented by those texts between Courtney Smith and other coaches' wives, including Urban Meyer's wife Sandy, cast enough doubt on Meyer's claim of innocence to force Ohio State to suspend their head coach while investigating the matter. Jake Marisnik was recalled from AAA Fresno to the Astros Wednesday in his first at-bat since rejoining his mates. He socked a 2-run homer to set the pace in an 8-3 win at Seattle. Marwin Gonzalez double-dipped in the homer pool, and Dallas Keuchel won for the 6th time in his last 9 starts to clinch the series against the Mariners. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Lowell Fulson.
This is
Blues
awesome.
Man. It was recorded here in Shreveport.
Yeah, it was at KWKH, right?
Was it? I think that was one of the ones that was. Or Sound City on Line Avenue.
It's just amazing when you go through the history of Shreveport music, some of the stuff you find.
And it's all on YouTube, and you can all, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, Robert and Erin, 24 past 6 o'clock. Matt has enlightened me this morning by turning me on to Johnny Cash songs. What was the name of that one you mentioned?
The Legend of John Henry's Hammer.
The Legend of John Henry's Hammer, and you say that is metaphor for man's fight against growing and expanding technology, especially, what year is that, by the way?
What year he wrote it?
Yeah.
Ooh, probably early 60s, late 50s, early 60s.
Man's battle against encroaching technology.
You can't replace a steel-driving man.
That's a line in there, too?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So read me the comedian Bill Burr quote.
Realize this.
And what's this about? I'm sorry.
It's basically about going after your dreams, and there are worse things in life than failing. And he says, realize that sleeping on a futon when you're 30 is not the worst thing. You know what's worse? Sleeping in a king-size bed next to a wife you're not really in love with, but for some reason you're married and you got a couple of kids and a job you hate. You'll be lying there fantasizing about sleeping on a futon. There's no risk when you go after a dream, but there's a tremendous amount of risk that playing it safe.
Like I was talking to you just a minute ago about the guy, my golfing buddy. He knows. He gave it his best shot, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be an angry 40-year-old softball guy, who's out there just, the guy I'm talking about.
Absolutely. There's a couple of them that work in this building that just,
Yeah, there kind of are. I've told you the story before because I did stand up in New York for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
And decided I had to get out when I realized, when I was getting to the point where to make any money, I had to go on the road. And at that point, I'd been in radio before that for about 10 years, and all I did in radio was move around. And I thought, I don't want to move around. I didn't like moving around every couple of years. I don't want to move around every 5 days. So I got back into radio. And I've told you about the little bitty, the radio station in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And I had this stretch where everything went wrong. I've told you the story. Remember about where the beam fell on my head and I ended up in the hospital? And I told you the story about about that point my girlfriend broke up with me and moved away, and what else? Oh, the Polish cop. His name was Ed Slomkowski. If you Google it, it's there. He lives in Florida now. He's still alive. He's 150. And he did the weekend Polish polka show. And I used to have to tech it for him like Matt does for us, only with markedly less dignity. And I played the wrong cut one morning, and he ran into the studio and threatened to shoot me. And all tied. Remember, I had this old beat-up MGB 1974 MGB GT.
Is this the one that squirted brake fluid?
And the brake master cylinder on an old MGB of that era sits on the driver's side, but on the other side, on the engine side of the firewall. But somehow, and I know nothing about mechanics or how this worked, but I had a cracked brake master cylinder. And every time I would go to put on the brakes, because the brake fluid I had to pump the brakes a lot to get the car to stop. So I really had to anticipate having to stop. Well, what would happen is when you pumped the brakes, it would squirt brake fluid on my feet and pants. So what I did was, because I didn't have the money to get the brake cylinder fixed, I would drive. I had a garbage bag. I kept a big Glad garbage bag in the car, and when I'd start the engine, and I would drape it over my feet and pant legs. And that way, when I went to pump the brakes and stop the car, it would squirt the brake fluid onto the plastic garbage bag and not onto my shoes and clothing. So at one point in the midst of all this disaster, I was walking out of the radio station one day, and I had bills. I was making like $250 a week, okay? And this was after I had worked in Philadelphia. I'd been in major markets, and now I'm back at this. I've shown you pictures. This little bitty. The joke was that the radio station was so underpowered that there was a basketball rim attached to the top of the station's antenna. And I'm walking out of the radio station one day, And I'm walking to the car. And I get to the parking lot, and I'm about the distance from me to McCoy's office from the car. And I can see this hole in the door where this guy had backed into me. And I didn't have the money to fix that either. And I was thinking, man, what? Your life sucks. This is horrible. I'm like 30. This is 1981, so I'm 28 or 29. And I mean, your life this is horrible. And all of a sudden, I've had two cathartic moments in my life. I mean, two Saul on the road to Damascus moments, and this is one. I'll never tell you the other. Maybe I will. And all of a sudden, it hit me. And I said to myself, if you want to make money, go home. Quit this job, put your stuff in the car. You can make it to Shreveport, move back to Shreveport, live with your folks, find a job, and spend X amount of years of your life making money. If that's what you want to do, make money. You can always find a job and you can always make a little money. But if you want to be in radio and you want to give it that shot and you want to try to succeed in broadcasting, something you've already put 10 years of your life into and love, then do it and stop complaining and buckle down and try harder and work harder and accept things for the way they are. And from that moment, I never worried about the money aspect. I never worried about, I made the choice in that 15-yard walk to the car. And I'll never tell you the other one. Well, maybe off the air.
We'll give you drinks.
6:29. Oh, it's a done deal. 29 past 6 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Matt has news in just a couple of seconds. Here's Ruben.
Looks like I-49 South's got it clear all the way to Alexandria right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline at 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be sunny with a high of 94, then clear, low 69 tonight. Sunshine with a high of 94 tomorrow. A shower or thunderstorm on Saturday. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
The 307th Bomb Wing gets their first female leader. Colonel Courtney Hamilton has been named as the first female vice commander of the 307th Bomb Wing at Barksdale Air Force Base. Hamilton will assist Wing Commander Colonel Robert Van Hoy. Hamilton graduated flight school in 1999 and has logged more than 2,000 flight hours. She spent most of her career as a fighter pilot and instructor. A woman is dead following a late-night shooting in Shreveport. The shooting happened in the 1900 block of Alston Street around 8 p.m. Wednesday night. When officers arrived on the scene, the female victim was dead due to a gunshot wound to the abdomen. Two people were in the house at the time of the shooting. They were both taken in for questioning in the case. Two local massage parlor owners pled out in Caddo Court. Leanan Teenan and his wife Bing Bing Lee had pled guilty to various charges in a Caddo Court. The owners of the Palm Asian Massage Parlor were arrested last year on human trafficking charges. Tien pled guilty to the human trafficking charge and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. He'll also have to forfeit all assets that law enforcement feel were used to facilitate the crime of human trafficking. His wife Bing Bing pled guilty to the lesser charge of money laundering. She was sentenced to 6 months in prison with credit for time served. Attorney General Jeff Landry says, quote, There is no doubt that if I run, I'll beat John Bel Edwards, and you can tell him that. That's from an interview where the AG seems to throw down the gauntlet and do everything shy of outright saying he's running for governor in 2019. UL Lafayette political science professor Pearson Cross says Landry may be one person the governor doesn't want to see running against him.
Jeff Landry is a dogged campaigner. He will really stop at nothing. No one wants to run against Jeff Landry. Just ask Charles Bustani.
Landry and Edwards have gone back and forth since they both took office in 2015 in one of the state's most public and heated political rivalries. Louisiana Senator John Kennedy's pushing hard for work requirements for those receiving food stamps. Kennedy says that government assistance was designed to help people leave poverty, but it has ended up being a stopping place for many. Kennedy says that he wants an America that spends less on food stamps because fewer Americans will need help putting food on the table. He says his legislation would reform the program so it would work as originally intended. A train wreck causes major headaches in Bossier Parish. There were major traffic delays on Benton Road Wednesday afternoon after an 18-wheeler collided with a train. The accident happened around 2:30 near the old Hack Creek dirt pit. Luckily, no one was injured in the crash. And it's a serious look at a funny subject. The National Comedy Center is now open for laughs. The $50 million cultural institution is in Jamestown, New York, the hometown of famed comedian Lucille Ball. It tells the story behind mankind's efforts to evoke laughs from each other. The center was inspired by Ball. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
.101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Miss Erin back on Monday morning. I've said before, and I don't mean to belittle how hard a United States senator works. It just seems to me to be the most awesome job in the world. Mm-hmm. I mean, you go on TV, you fly around for free, you eat for free, you get good money, and you get a pension, and you've got a staff of about 1,000 people that do most of your work. You're kind of like the front man for this company. It's your company, but the point being, I would, if I were a United States senator, I would be extremely hesitant, extremely reticent to give up that position.
No kidding.
It's a sweet gig, which has from the beginning made me doubt whether John Kennedy was really going to run for governor of Louisiana. I mean, it's being a senator is just too cool a job. You're an important guy, and you're on America's credit card.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I had always said, the rumors had always been that if Kennedy doesn't run, that it's going to be Attorney General Jeff Landry.
Well,
that seems to be the direction it's headed.
Yeah, he pretty much all but announced that he's running yesterday. In an interview, he said, "There's no doubt that if I run, I'll beat John Bel Edwards," and went on about and basically went point by point about how he's better than John Bel.
Let's not jump the gun there, but let me ask you this: he could beat John Bel, but could he beat John Kennedy? That's why I tend to think at this point where Jeff Landry is making lots of noise about getting in the race, that leads me to believe that there are behind-the-scene conversations that Kennedy will not leave the United States Senate.
Well, the Louisiana Radio Network interviewed a political science professor from UL Lafayette.
Right.
And this guy, Professor Pearson Cross, I think is his name, basically said that Landry's one of the toughest people to run against just because of the way he runs his campaigns and does stuff that anybody that goes against him is going to have a hard time beating him.
101.7 FM, 710 Keel, 639. Robert and Erin, traffic update right now. Ruben's here.
Looks like I-49 South's got it clear all the way to Alexandria right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be sunny with a high of 94, then clear, low 69 tonight. Sunshine with a high of 94 tomorrow. A shower or thunderstorm on Saturday. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
You know, I never finished the story. 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 642. We were talking about the albums and or music. CDs, CDs, whatever it happened to be. Mm-hmm. By the way, I've mentioned this to a lot of people. I have a drawer. You know, I don't have a desk here because once they give you a desk, then they give you a phone. Once they give you a phone, they give you a computer. And once you get all of that, you have responsibilities.
That's not true. I have a phone, but it doesn't work.
I have a file cabinet, a rusty file cabinet in the corner of an office that I've had for about 20 or 22 years. And basically, if you scratch yourself on this, you're going to need a tetanus shot. It's like call 911. So the point being, I have and have collected over the years different CDs, not of artists, but because for production music's sake. You know, you do commercials, a client likes this, a client likes that. I've got about 20 years, I would say maybe 40 or 50 CDs in that drawer, or one of the drawers. The thing is, at this point, we have no place to play them. There is not a CD player in this building. It's a technology that it's gone.
Yeah, Best Buy doesn't even sell CDs anymore.
It's gone. So I could get on a computer and I could download and burn them onto, you know, and put them in, like, our T drive is basically our big bin of stuff. I could put them in T drive, but that would
take forever.
So I'm thinking I'm making a dumpster trip today. I'm making a trip to the dumpster. Mike Johnson, Congressman Mike Johnson, was on Fox News a couple of days ago. I'm not going to play those here. Those will be after 7 o'clock. But he basically talks about what's called Bernie care, i.e. Bernie Sanders, senator from Vermont, socialist, democratic socialist. That's the new cool term. He's not a real socialist. I mean, he doesn't want to come to your house with guns and force you to do stuff. He's a democratic socialist. Right. The point being, Bernie care, i.e. free health care for all, is being tossed around by the political left once again. And Bernie's talking about it, and Kamala Harris and John Conyers from Michigan, they've endorsed it, as has Alexandria Cortez-Ocasio, the congressional candidate from Queens in New York. She says it's a great idea. She was on, I don't know, was it Colbert or something else? And no, Daily Show, Trevor Noah. And he says, how are you going to pay for it? And she hems and haws and stumbles and says, tax the rich. Well, you know what? You can take all the money away from all the rich people in America one time. What is that, like $3 trillion maybe? The estimated cost of Bernie care is $30+ trillion. And Mike Johnson addresses that. We'll play that later. But one of the things, and I'll talk about this more in the 7 o'clock hour, is you and I we talk on the show a lot about rights versus responsibilities. Everybody has rights, but not everybody has responsibilities. And I'm going to kind of try to stumble through this, so bear with me. It's the rights versus responsibilities aspect of a Democrat socialist imposed healthcare system. So, and you hear it all the time, healthcare is a right. It's a right. Everybody has a right to healthcare. But if everybody has a right to health care, then it is the job of government to be sure that those rights are given to all of the citizens, that that their rights are defended by the government, which means, of course, government would be in charge of health care. But in that equation, let's look at the doctor. So the doctor, you as the patient in this democratic socialist healthcare system, you've got rights, responsibilities are minimal. Meanwhile, the doctor has all the responsibilities, i.e. to treat you, but what rights does he have? I.e., in this job, if I want to market my skills, my talents, if I don't think, Town Square is just not paying me enough money, I want to go elsewhere. There's nothing that keeps me from doing that. That's the same. In your job, you're probably the same. If you're a car salesman, I'm making 10% commission, but gosh, I know some guys down the road that are making 12 and a half, 15. I'm going to go see if they'll hire me. Meanwhile, in a government-controlled healthcare system, in that democratic socialist healthcare system, the doctor, because it's the job of the government to be sure that you, the citizen, have your rights, and one of those is health care, that basically the doctor is, if not your slave, if not your indentured servant, that doctor is at least an indentured servant to the government. Here's a guy who went to school for 3 or 4 or 5 or 7 years, probably comes out of medical school with $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 in debt, and he can still get sued if you think he screws up. And he's going to have to work on a fixed income as imposed by the government. Some people have rights. Some people have responsibilities. In this case, what rights does the doctor have? And why does government get to decide that he, the doctor, is suddenly your or the government's indentured servant? Do me a favor today. Track down someone, and luckily it's Louisiana, so there's not that many. Track down someone who identifies themselves as a democratic socialist. I am a democratic socialist. And say, listen, could you give me $500? I say, what, are you out of your mind? Am I giving you $500 for what? Say, I want to go to the doctor. They're going to say, I'm not giving you $500 to go to the doctor. There in microcosm is how most democratic socialists look at it. They're really anxious, happy, willing for you to pay for their stuff. They're just not all that anxious to pay for yours. Mike Johnson comments on Bernie Care and the impending disaster that it would be just after 7 o'clock. 648, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Traffic and weather and Your Money Now coming up next. 649, it's 1017 FM and 710 Keel. I think a little traffic is in order from the Keel Traffic Crow's Nest. Here's Ruben.
Looks like I-49 South's got it clear all the way to Alexandria right now, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Sunshine with a high of 94 today. Clear, low 69 tonight. Sunshine, high 94 tomorrow. A shower or thunderstorm on Saturday. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Good morning, 652, 1017 FM and 710 Keel Sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Ohio State football coach Urban Meyer was placed on paid administrative leave Wednesday after Brett McMurphy reported the Buckeyes coach was most likely aware that an assistant on his staff had committed domestic assault. McMurphy, formerly with ESPN, reported his findings on his own Facebook page, producing damning screenshots of texts and pictures of the victim, Courtney Smith, the estranged wife of former Meyer assistant Zach Smith. McMurphy reported the abuse began in 2009 when Smith was on Meyer's Florida staff and continued until 2015 in Columbus, Ohio. During the Big Ten Media Days last week, Meyer denied having any knowledge of Smith's alleged abuse. McMurphy's report, cemented by those texts between Courtney Smith and other coaches' wives, including Urban Meyer's wife Sandy, cast enough doubt on Meyer's claim of innocence to force Ohio State to suspend their head coach while investigating the matter. Jake Marisnik was recalled from AAA Fresno to the Astros Wednesday in his first at-bat since rejoining his mates. He socked a two-run homer to set the pace in an 8-3 win at Seattle. Marwin Gonzalez double-dipped in the homer pool, and Dallas Keuchel won for the sixth time in his last 9 starts to clinch the series against the Mariners. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
1017 FM and 710 Keel. I still didn't finish the story about McCoy. Because we've been talking a little bit this hour. It's so easy to get off track some days about what album, what CD, what DVD, whatever, not DVD, CD, what music affected your life the most, either as an adult or as a youngster. In Erin's case, she says, I was in college, and my brothers had Eat a Peach by the Allman Brothers, and that changed everything about how I looked at music and, in some cases, life. You said Johnny Cash. Is Johnny Cash, Bob Dylan, your two most influential artists? And you brilliantly and articulately explained, especially the Johnny Cash song earlier in the hour. And if you missed it, the Johnny Cash song that you think is just so incredibly awesome is
The Legend of John Henry's Hammer.
You said that's like an 8-minute song?
Uh-huh.
And you apply it to 21st century living in what way?
Well, it's a song about man versus technology. And if you look at, self-checkout registers and all that, it completely goes, connects with the song where basically John Henry's racing a steam driver that was trying to replace human beings who were driving nails on the trains.
Wow. So I asked McCoy. I walked by. I got coffee this morning. I walked past McCoy's office. I said, what record album, what CD, what on disc most affected your life? And he looks at me and he says, Genesis 1:1. And I'm thinking, is this a Phil Collins thing I don't know about? What the hell? And he says, no. When I was a kid, my grandmother had the whole Bible on 33 and a third album.
Wow.
And that was what I thought that was pretty good. 1017 FM, 710 Keel, 756. Here's Rush.
3 years behind the golden EIB microphone. I want to take just a minute. Folks, we've been through so much together. Bush 41, 2 terms of Bill Clinton, the intern. Bill's sidekick, the smartest woman in America, Madam Rodham Clinton. Bush 43, 9/11. We've had 2 terms of Barack Hussein O. and Michelle My Belle O. We've had Michael J. We've had Sandra F. We've had same-sex marriage, addictomies, chopidicophomies, 30 years of demonstrating absurdity, 30 years of making the complex understandable, 30 years of advancing conservatism and truth. And yeah, over 30 years, a lot's happened, a lot's changed, but some things remain the same. America is the greatest nation on earth. The American people, those who make the country work, are the most generous, the most compassionate, the hardest working people on earth. And when unleashed from big government, our freedom lights up the world. And you, my audience, you're the greatest of the great. For 30 years, everything I've achieved, I could not have achieved without you. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart, as well as the highly overrated staff. You all mean everything to me. Okay, folks, the dog days of summer are here, but autumn leaves will soon be falling. That means it's time to start gearing up for all the work that needs to be done on your land. And my good friends at Mahindra want to help. Now, if you're looking for your first tractor or to trade up from an old one, Mahindra has a workhorse for everybody and every job. In fact, Mahindra offers a full line of subcompact, compact, and utility tractors backed by a 5 or 7 year powertrain warranty. And don't forget about Mahindra's rugged utility vehicles available in single cab or crew cab. Now is the time, folks. Now is the time to learn more about Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor company, or find your dealer at MahindraUSA.com.
Take advantage of rock-bottom prices and test drive a Mahindra today at Kelly Tractor and Equipment in Longview, or visit kellytractor.net. That's kellytractor.net.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on Kings Highway near Line Avenue. And we're still keeping an eye on that stalled vehicle on I-220 westbound near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
KeelAccuWeather.com forecast, kind of cloudy, but cooler today, maybe 90. Yep, that's cool. Right now, 68 at Keel.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 1017 FM and 710 Keel.
Good morning. It's 3 past 7 o'clock, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL, and the KEEL app, a free download from Office Furniture Source. Erin away today. Matt has local news in just moments.
Local massage parlor owners plead guilty to human trafficking. We'll talk about that. A woman is dead following a late-night shooting. We'll have some details on that. And Senator John Kennedy's pushing hard for work requirements for those who receive food stamps.
Speaking of that, will Mr. John or AG Jeff Landry be the Republican gubernatorial candidate? We'll discuss a little bit. Jeff is kind of making a little noise. Mike Johnson comments on the proposed Bernie care, i.e. Bernie Sanders. And, yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about the human trafficking case.
Wow, I'm just blown away by that story.
Plus, Fletcher in sports and traffic and weather. It's all coming up this hour, and it's right here on KEEL.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
Local massage parlor owners plead out in Caddo Court. Leanan Teenan and his wife Bing Bing Lee have pled guilty to various charges in a Caddo court. The owners of the Palm Asian Massage Parlor were arrested last year on human trafficking charges. Tien pled guilty to human trafficking and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. He will also have to forfeit all assets that law enforcement feel were used to facilitate the crime of human trafficking. His wife Bing Bing pled guilty to the lesser charge of money laundering. She was sentenced to 6 months in prison with credit for time served. A woman is dead following a late-night shooting in Shreveport. The shooting happened in the 1900 block of Alston Street around 8 p.m. Wednesday night. When officers arrived on the scene, the female victim was dead due to a gunshot wound to the abdomen. 2 people were in the house at the time of the shooting. They were both taken in for questioning in the case. The 307th Bomb Wing gets their first female leader. Colonel Courtney Hamilton has been named as the first female vice commander of the 307th Bomb Wing at Barksdale Air Force Base. Hamilton will assist Wing Commander Colonel Robert Van Hoy. Hamilton graduated flight school in 1999 and has logged more than 2,000 flight hours. She spent most of her career as a fighter pilot and instructor. Louisiana Senator John Kennedy is pushing hard for work requirements for those receiving food stamps. Kennedy says that government assistance was designed to help people leave poverty, but it's ended up being a stopping place for many. Kennedy says he wants an America that spends less on food stamps because fewer Americans will need help putting food on the table. He says his legislation will reform the program so it would work as originally intended. The attorney for a 19-year-old shot by a state trooper says he's got lots of questions as to why his client was shot in the back when the officer claimed she was being rushed by his client following a traffic stop. Kevin Barnhart has that story.
The lawyer, Don Casio, didn't identify his client, but says something just doesn't add up about Trooper Kasha Doming's account of what happened in the incident. He says his client and family are anxious for the truth to surface and justice to be served.
If the facts show that this state trooper should be punished in some way or reprimanded or lose their job, then hopefully that will be done. We don't know. We want to let the investigation play out.
The shooting was not captured on video. The attorney for the trooper claims the body cam was defective and the patrol vehicle was new and not yet equipped with a dash cam. I'm Kevin Barnhart.
Attorney General Jeff Landry says, quote, "There's no doubt that if I run, I'll beat John Bell Edwards. and you can tell him that. That's from a recent interview where the AG seems to throw down the gauntlet and do everything shy of outright saying he's running for governor in 2019. UL Lafayette political science professor Pearson Cross says there's nothing subtle about it.
I think this is a little different than the ongoing political rivalry. I see an announcement here. What I see is him saying, okay, well, if nobody else is going to take the lead, it's going to be me.
Landry and Edwards have gone back and forth since they both took office in 2015 in one of the state's most public and heated political rivalries. A train wreck causes major headaches in Bossier Parish. There were major traffic delays on Benton Road after an 18-wheeler collided with a train. The accident happened around 2:30 Wednesday near the old Hack Creek dirt pit. Luckily, no one was injured in the crash. And Ohio State has placed Coach Urban Meyer on paid administrative leave while it investigates claims that he and his wife knew about allegations of abuse against an assistant coach years before he was fired last week. Assistant Zach Smith was fired last week after an Ohio court granted a protective order to his wife. Offensive coordinator Ryan Day will serve as acting coach while the Buckeyes investigate the claims against Meyer. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Ten past 7 o'clock, time for KEEL traffic update. Here's Ruben.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on Kings Highway near Line Avenue, and we're still keeping an eye on that stalled vehicle on I-220 westbound near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be sunny with a high of 94, then clear, low 69 tonight. Sunshine with a high of 94 tomorrow. A shower or thunderstorm on Saturday. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
No, we're not going to bump Bishop Larry. He's at 8 o'clock. 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 12 after 7 o'clock. KEEL app is a free download presented by Office Furniture Source. A little bit later this hour, we were just in Texarkana, so this was a while back.
Yeah, it happened last month. It's just starting to make the news today. For
guy
whatever
tried to
reason.
steal a plane.
To go see his favorite rapper in Chicago.
What?
To make the long story short, because I know we'll get into it later.
Because we can get to more detail in a bit.
This gentleman hopped the fence, saw a plane parked, with the door open, hopped in it, shut the door, and tried to start it, and cops basically just sat there while he tried to figure out how to start the plane.
Would you, if you got on like a DC-9, would you have any idea how to start the plane?
Hell no.
I wouldn't.
Have you ever seen a plane cockpit?
I wouldn't know if there's a key. I don't know if it's like there's a button to. I have absolutely no idea how you'd start a plane.
And beyond that, even if it started, there's all these gauges and meters and lights. How do you know if the thing's running, if it's in fly mode?
How old was this fella? Does it say?
Let's see here. I think he was like 19 or 20 or something.
And he wanted to steal the plane. He was going to take the plane to Chicago to see a rap concert.
Yeah.
Congressman Mike Johnson was on Fox News yesterday, and he was discussing, yes, it's actually on the floor of the Senate. It is a bill that has been introduced. It's Bernie Sanders. Basically, it's the same old Bernie care. You know, like Senator Bernie Sanders from Vermont, presidential candidate, and he will be again most likely, because part of his campaign was free college education for everybody, which means everybody pays for that. And Bernie Care, his free health care for all Americans, is basically the same thing. The interesting thing about that, well, a couple of things. One, it has been priced at about $32 trillion. Let me say that again, $32 trillion just to get it off the ground. By the way, when Bernie talks about free health care for everybody, then he points to all the countries around the world, all the socialist paradises that have the same thing. In reality, did you know nobody does? In China, people pay about 1/3 of their health care expense. In all the Scandinavian countries, Finland and Norway and Sweden, the ones that all the socialist democratic socialists point to, they all pay about 20 or 25%.
Well, you got to pay something in.
Well, according to Bernie, no. Free health care for everybody. We'll tax corporations. We'll tax the rich. And that was where the interview with Congressman Mike Johnson sort of started. Is the senator, meaning Bernie Sanders, is he serious about this Bernie care idea? Or do you think that guys like him, the leftist Democrats, which basically is all Democrats in this day and age, just think that everybody is dumb and everybody is foolish enough to fall for this pie-in-the-sky idea?
Everyone needs to recognize this is simply a ploy by these democratic socialist leaders. They're trying to draw people into their party by waving these shiny objects in the air. Oh, we'll give everyone free health care. We'll give you free tuition. I mean, it all sounds great, of course, but they never offer any legitimate idea on how in the world it would be paid for. And it's so radical that it makes China look like a better model.
Say that again. It makes China, where people pay 1/3 of their health care expense, look like a better model. So they continued with Mr. Mike, and it was basically, this is on the floor of the U.S. Senate, though. This has been introduced. It's a real bill. It's real legislation. How on earth does anybody think that this $30+ trillion price tag on this, how far could this possibly get?
Well, what's going on is that no one's giving them a real challenge. The mainstream media, of course, never asked them the hard question: how in the world would it be paid for? You know, a Republican can misstate a percentage point, and they have teams of fact checkers ripping them apart. You know, ripping us to shreds in the media. A Democratic socialist joins this program and says they're going to pay $30 trillion worth of health care costs by raising taxes on the American people to get $3 trillion. You know, the math just doesn't add up, and the media doesn't challenge them. So they're allowed to go forward and make these express these platitudes and offer what has been called the ultimate miracle product.
And in fact, on the Daily Show with Trevor Noah, new Democrat leftist darling Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Trevor Noah said, she had said, you know, I'm backing this Bernie Sanders plan. This is free health care for all. And he actually said, well, how are you going to pay? And he said, well, she says we can raise taxes on the rich. We can raise the corporate tax. Why, we could raise that to 28, 30, 32%. She said, why, if we taxed the rich, we could raise almost $2, maybe $3 trillion. Well, you know what the follow-up question was not? Where's the other 27 or 28 trillion dollars going to come from? Which was sort of the next question with Congressman Mike Johnson on Fox News. This is on the floor of the Senate. Bernie care. Is there any chance that this could advance?
There is zero chance that it will happen, and I think they know that. At the end of the day, I've challenged my Democrat colleagues on the floor of the U.S. House and said, I heard you say you wanted single payer. What's your idea on how to pay for it? And they look at their shoes awkwardly and admit they have no idea. I mean, there's no intention that this would ever actually be passed because it's totally unworkable.
I had said in the last hour talking about this, we did a little preview on this. I said it comes down to rights versus responsibilities. If health care is a right, according to Bernie Sanders, according to the leftists, health care is every American's right. But then, where is the doctor in that equation? If health care is your right, that means that it is the duty of the government to ensure that your rights are not infringed, which means what? Does the doctor, at that point, does your physician owe you his services for free? Or for that matter, whatever the government decides he should get? Does the doctor in this democratic socialist healthcare utopia, in verbal italics, does he, become the indentured servant, the slave of a federal government that tells him exactly who he will see, what he will charge, how much he will make? So, in its essence, the doctor in this equation has all of the responsibilities and none of the rights. This guy who's been to school, or woman, for 6 or 7 years or more, probably incurred $500,000 in student loan debt, and on top of it all can be sued by the patient if they feel he didn't do a good job. And now he is under this plan, the indentured servant of big government. 19 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Ruben's ready with the latest traffic.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on Kings Highway near Line Avenue, and we're still keeping an eye on that stalled vehicle on I-220 westbound near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be sunny with a high of 94, then clear, low 69 tonight. Sunshine with a high of 94 tomorrow. A shower or thunderstorm on Saturday. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Twenty-one past 7 o'clock, time for Keel Sports. Here's Tim.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Ohio State football coach Urban Meyer was placed on paid administrative leave Wednesday after Brett McMurphy reported the Buckeyes coach was most likely aware that an assistant on his staff had committed domestic assault. McMurphy, formerly with ESPN, reported his findings on his own Facebook page, producing damning screenshots of texts and pictures of the victim, Courtney Smith, the estranged wife of former Meyer assistant Zach Smith. McMurphy reported the abuse began in 2009 when Smith was on Meyer's Florida staff and continued until 2015 in Columbus, Ohio. During the Big Ten Media Days last week, Meyer denied having any knowledge of Smith's alleged abuse. McMurphy's report, cemented by those texts between Courtney Smith and other coaches' wives, including Urban Meyer's wife, Sandy, cast enough doubt on Meyer's claim of innocence to force Ohio State to suspend their head coach while investigating the matter. Jake Marisnik was recalled from AAA Fresno to the Astros Wednesday in his first at-bat since rejoining his mates. He socked the two-run homer to set the pace in an 8-3 win at Seattle. Marwin Gonzalez double-dipped in the homer pool, and Dallas Keuchel won for the 6th time in his last 9 starts to clinch the series against the Mariners. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
It may seem a little tasteless and or tacky. 1017 FM, 710 Keel, Robert and Erin, 24 past 7 o'clock. Bishop Larry Brandon joins us at 8. That has nothing to do with tasteless or tacky. God, has he been on TV all the time lately?
Yeah, I guess because it's been sort of a slow news week. They just, hey, you know, Larry Brandon's pretty awesome. Let's just throw him on TV about stuff.
It's what we do. Nothing wrong with that.
No,
Did you read his book?
I started to. I haven't finished it, but so far I am fascinated.
Do you have enough of a working knowledge where you can pass it along to me during a stop set, a commercial break, and it'll sound like I read it later?
I wouldn't go that far.
That is how the show works, you know. Matt, read this. Give me bullet points. What I started to say was about tacky and tasteless. We all the time, for various topics, we'll play what we call the old radio high-low game.
Mm-hmm.
You're too high. You're too low. And you said to me, pertaining to, and this is where it gets kind of tacky and tasteless, and I apologize, but I was amazed. You said, because you had the news story about the human, read the story, the human trafficking. Okay, when you say human trafficking, when you say that to me, I'm thinking like 21st century slavery. I'm thinking about like Michelle Obama, bring back our girls, or whatever the hashtag. You know what I'm talking about.
That's pretty much it.
I mean, it sounds... Well, read the story, and then we'll continue.
Leanan Teenan and his wife Bing Bing Lee have pled guilty to various charges in a Caddo court. The pair are owners and operators of several local massage parlors in Shreveport-Bossier, including the Palm Asian Massage Parlor. They also own several other parlors in the state of Missouri, Arkansas, Alabama, and other states.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The pair were arrested last year in a human trafficking sting where they were tracking, their activity.
Let me see if I recall this, and I want you to get back to the story, to the text of your copy. As I recall, they were arrested for that they were sponsoring women to come to this country as legal immigrants. And then when they were here, they were literally, we will bring you to this country if you promise to work for us for 1 year or 2 years or whatever it happens to be. And correct me if I'm wrong, and they were indentured servants. Literally, you will work for us for a year for whatever we pay you, which in many cases was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And they were working as happy ending prostitutes?
In some cases, yeah. they were doing this trafficking sting, and they charged this couple with bringing female immigrants from China, trafficking them from the East Coast, and then forcing them to provide services or labor under threat of force, fraud, or coercion.
Okay, so basically they were hooked up with somebody else on the east coast of the USA, New York, who knows where, and they were bringing the girls in, but they were sort of this.
If you've ever seen The Wire or some of those shows, basically, you know, they load these girls in like a cargo freight on a boat and ship them over here. Somebody, the mob, or whoever.
It literally is human trafficking.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yes.
And you probably got 15 or 20 years for that.
No.
What?
Tien, the male gentleman in this case.
Wait, stop. Human trafficking. I assume this is now they were in Caddo courts. You said, how much time do you think they got? And I said, human trafficking, indentured servitude, basically 21st century sex slavery. I said 15 years, 20 years. You said way too high. I said 5, 10.
Way too high.
Finish your story.
Tien pled guilty to the human trafficking charge, the gentleman, and was sentenced to 18 months in prison.
How long?
Let me read that again.
No, that's
18 months, not years, not decades, months. He'll also have to forfeit 17 grand, 2 vehicles, some cell phones, computers, and stuff that were seized during the investigation, and some other items law enforcement feel were used to facilitate the crime of human trafficking.
You can understand where I and a lot of people listening might be going, that seems a little light, but that ain't all.
No, his wife, Bing Bing, pled to a lesser charge of money laundering, which also you would think is, you know, a big boy charge. No, she only got 6 months with credit for time served and is free today.
How's about the rest of their parlors? How's about the rest of their businesses?
When I was doing a little Googling this morning, from the best I can tell, they are still up and running.
Like in Missouri, the business in Missouri and all the other ones, it seems to the lights are on, the doors are open.
Yeah, now whether they've reformed their ways, that can be debated.
Got something in your throat there, kid?
Yeah, I almost choked on that
Yeah,
sentence,
a little bronchitis. You never know when it'll act up. 29 past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, Rubens Ray.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on Kings Highway near Line Avenue. And we're still keeping an eye on that stalled vehicle on I-220 westbound near Airline Drive in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be sunny with a high of 94, then clear, low 69 tonight. Sunshine with a high of 94 tomorrow. A shower or thunderstorm on Saturday. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
The 307th Bomb Wing gets their first female leader. Colonel Courtney Hamilton has been named as the first female vice commander of the 307th Bomb Wing at Barksdale Air Force Base. Hamilton will assist Wing Commander Colonel Robert Van Hoy. Hamilton graduated flight school in 1999 and has logged more than 2,000 flight hours. She spent most of her career as a fighter pilot and instructor. A woman is dead following a late-night shooting in Shreveport. The shooting happened in the 1900 block of Alston Street around 8 p.m. Wednesday night. When officers arrived on the scene, the female victim was dead due to a gunshot wound to the abdomen. 2 people were in the house at the time of the shooting. They were both taken in for questioning in the case. 2 local massage parlor owners pled out in Caddo Court. Leanan Teenan and his wife Bing Bing Lee have pled guilty to various charges in a Caddo Court. The owners of the Palm Asian Massage Parlor were arrested last year on human trafficking charges. Tien pled guilty to the human trafficking charge and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. He'll also have to forfeit all assets that law enforcement feel were used to facilitate the crime of human trafficking. His wife Bing Bing pled guilty to the lesser charge of money laundering. She was sentenced to 6 months in prison with credit for time served. Attorney General Jeff Landry says, quote, "There is no doubt that if I run, I'll beat John Bell Edwards, and you can tell him that." That's from an interview where the AG seems to throw down the gauntlet and do everything shy of outright saying he's running for governor in 2019. UL Lafayette political science professor Pearson Cross says Landry may be one person the governor doesn't want to see running against him.
Jeff Landry is a dogged campaigner. He will really stop at nothing. No one wants to run against Jeff Landry. Just ask Charles Bustani.
Landry and Edwards have gone back and forth since they both took office in 2015 in one of the state's most public and heated political rivalries. Louisiana Senator John Kennedy is pushing hard for work requirements for those receiving food stamps. Kennedy says that government assistance was designed to help people leave poverty, but it has ended up being a stopping place for many. Kennedy says that he wants an America that spends less on food stamps because fewer Americans will need help putting food on the table. He says his legislation would reform the program so it would work as originally intended. A train wreck causes major headaches in Bossier Parish. There were major traffic delays on Benton Road Wednesday afternoon after an 18-wheeler collided with a train. The accident happened around 2:30 near the old Hat Creek dirt pit. Luckily, no one was injured in the crash. And it's a serious look at a funny subject. The National Comedy Center is now open for laughs. The $50 million cultural institution is in Jamestown, New York, the hometown of famed comedian Lucille Ball. It tells the story behind mankind's efforts to evoke laughs from each other. The center was inspired by Ball. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
I mean, there's a ton of stuff to talk about. Bishop Larry Brandon joins us just past 8 o'clock this morning, by the way, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Miss Erin away until Monday morning. Take a look at her Facebook page. There's a picture of her and her son, and I think a friend of his, and see if you can tell where they were last night. I was looking to see. Can you tell where it is?
It's loading. Hold on. Our internet's moving a wee bit slow this morning.
Syrupy. Sort of like the Ohio State administration. No, wait, just the opposite of the Ohio State administration. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. I don't want to let this human trafficking thing go for a second. So a guy pleads guilty to human trafficking, indentured servitude, slavery of young women, and gets how long?
18 months.
And the thing that to me is the most inexplicable is the total inability, the ability to be, you've got to be a moral flatliner here.
No.
I mean, it's like, dude, now wait a second, hold on, then you can say what you want. It is beyond my comprehension how anyone looks at the misery of others and is not only indifferent to it, but takes advantage of it. And what I mean is, this guy looked at these women, they, for all intents and purposes, belonged to him. And he had no regard. To him, they were nothing more than, pardon me, they were nothing more than receptacles for men and a source of profit. They were literally a crop for him.
Yeah. To me, this guy is not a moral flatliner. He's a monster. And the crazy part to me is, well, we got to cut down on crime and stop stuff like this from happening. How is 18 months in jail stopping anybody? Because not only is this guy going to be free in 18 months, but the business is going to keep going because his wife is on the street. I mean, unless, they have like a Saul on the road to Damascus moment. Oh my God, I've seen the error of my ways.
What have we done?
They're not going to stop. This is going to keep going. Nothing's going to change. How is this any sort of deterrent to keep these horrible things from happening?
Punishment as a deterrent? What an interesting concept, and virtually unheard of in the early part of the 21st century. 739, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Speaking of deterrent, speaking of punishment, going to talk a little Urban Meyer. And as he relates to Nick Saban, of all people, that's coming up next. Right now, Ruben's ready.
The intersection at Uri Drive and East Coons Industrial Loop's dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're still keeping an eye on some backed-up traffic on Benton Road, just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be sunny with a high of 94, then clear, low 69 tonight. Sunshine with a high of 94 tomorrow. A shower or thunderstorm on Saturday. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
I'm going to listen. I'm not going to talk.
God, I love John Lee.
Recorded here. Not necessarily that one, but
it was definitely put out by Stan Lee's label.
Not Stan Lee.
Or
Stan Lewis. Yeah, this was on, it wasn't on Jewel. He had a rhythm and blues label, and I can't think of what it was, because he had Jewel, he had Paula, Ron, Ronn was another, but he had a bunch through the years. 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 742. Okay, so Urban Meyer, is Urban Meyer Ohio State coach? If you don't know the story, Urban Meyer, one of the top 2 or 3 or 4 highly paid college football coaches, well-known college football coaches in America, now at Ohio State, formerly Florida, is in a world of poop.
That's a understatement.
Do you have the story in front of you? Can you relate that to us?
I do.
Know that. Okay, go ahead.
Hold on. Ohio State has placed coach Urban Meyer on paid administrative leave while it investigates claims that he and his wife knew about allegations of abuse against an assistant coach years before he was fired last week. Assistant Zach Smith was fired last week after an Ohio court granted a protective order to his wife. Offensive coordinator Ryan Day will serve as an acting coach while Buckeyes investigate the claims against Meyer.
And then at a press conference a couple of days ago, when this came up, or was it yesterday? No, on
I think it was right after
Tuesday. It was on Tuesday, where they asked him about this because the stories were coming out and there were all these social media posts. And he said, I don't know anything about it.
Never heard of it.
I don't know anything about it. So basically he wants us to believe, he wants everybody to believe that the wife of one of his assistant coaches was being beaten by her husband, one of his assistant coaches. That all of the coaches' wives knew. That all, including his own.
Because this guy, this Zach Smith guy, worked for Urban when he was in Florida.
Right.
So they've known each other for a long time, and, you get close with the family, and basically this guy's wife reached out to Urban and Urban's wife and was like, hey, I'm in this situation, blah, blah, blah. And basically they went, hey, he's just going through a rough patch. Why don't you just let him go?
So basically, he wants everybody to believe that he knew and he looked the other way. Is that his excuse, his reason? Or is he falling back on my wife and all the other coaches' wives and all the other coaches that seem to know? Because, I don't know how to break this to you guys. Wives tell husbands stuff.
Yeah, well, his defense at first was, well, I didn't know anything about it. And then a former ESPN reporter, I don't remember his name offhand, started publishing text messages from this young lady, this guy's wife, and it was very clear that Urban and his wife were made well aware of the situation years ago.
Yeah, it seems that there was no question that his wife had known all along, and from what I read a couple of articles yesterday, it seemed like he was kind of falling back on, well, my wife she never really mentioned anything to me about that.
Yeah, because that's something a wife wouldn't tell her husband.
Because husbands and wives hardly ever talk.
But, just on another note, I've always hated Urban Meyer.
Why?
Any guy that uses...
Hate? Okay, well, go ahead.
Any guy that uses, I can't coach here anymore, guys. I had a heart attack.
The Florida job, right?
Things were kind of going down in Florida. A lot of talent were leaving. They were on the downslide. So he has this heart attack. He's like, God, with this heart condition, the doctors say I can't coach anymore. He sits out 8 months.
I remember because he did this ESPN piece, and it was this kind of sob story where I'm on the sidelines, and I can feel like there's like someone standing on my chest, and my daughters were saying, you're mean to everybody, and we never see you anymore, and you're alienating Mom, and his daughter she was crying, and so is this just all? Is this all a fabrication? Is this just all a story?
Well, if things were that bad, do you think he would have took another head coaching job at maybe even a more pressure-filled situation at Ohio State
for more money?
8 months later, not even a full year. 8 months. He just used his little heart attack, his heart condition, to get out of a contract because he knew the team was on a downslide and he didn't want to look like a loser.
Remember the story I told you, and we have to make a decision here. You're going to have to make the decision,
all right?
Okay? You are Matt Parker, moral authority.
Oh,
remember I told you the story about the guy I used to work for, Bob Costello?
Yeah.
Actually, he was the sales manager. I didn't work directly for him. And if you guys don't know the story, this guy was the ultimate oily sales guy.
Scumbag.
And your term, not mine. And he had what we would call at this radio station the Bob Costello list of insincere gestures. And when he did one of these, it's like when we interview some people, as soon as they say something, that it's like a poker tell. Mm-hmm. You know, as soon as they say or do something, you know what's coming out next ain't going to be true. And the Bob Costello ultimate insincere gesture was he would lean across the desk at you, look you directly in the eye, take his glasses off and stare at you. That was his, like, I'm really being honest with you now. Mm-hmm. Well, I was at the radio station Christmas party, and I'm in line getting food. And he and his wife are sitting at one of the front tables, and he's talking to his wife, and at one point I see him lean over the table to his wife, take off his glasses, and stare at her with that sincere look. And all I'm thinking is, oh my God, he's pitching his wife. His wife has become nothing more than a client. You are so good at getting your way and manipulating people all the time that you have decided that all the people in your life that are supposed to matter, to get your way, you will manipulate them also. I say this all the time. If you're married, if you're in a relationship, you're not supposed to win every argument. You're supposed to lose some. That's what keeps you grounded. That's what keeps you real. And yet this Bob Costello guy was working his wife like he would work a guy at a car dealer or a refrigerator repair shop or anything else to make the sale, to close the deal. Life to him was a client. So here's what I'm asking you about Urban Meyer.
Uh-huh.
Was Urban Meyer working his family? I mean, his daughter's on TV with him crying, I've got my daddy back. Is he working the family? Or are they in on it with him? You, Matt Parker, moral decision, moral authority.
Those were definitely real tears. I just think he's one of those people that treat everybody like they're a mark.
749, 1017 FM, 710 Keel. Here's Ruben.
The intersection at Uri Drive and East Coons Industrial Loop's dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're still keeping an eye on some backed-up traffic on Benton Road just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Here's your KeelAccuWeather.com forecast. Kind of sunny, a few clouds today. Not nearly as hot. Why only 90? It feels like spring. Right now 73 at Keel. 8 before 8 o'clock. It's 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL Sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Ohio State football coach Urban Meyer was placed on paid administrative leave Wednesday after Brett McMurphy reported the Buckeyes coach was most likely aware that an assistant on his staff had committed domestic assault. McMurphy, formerly with ESPN, reported his findings on his own Facebook page, producing damning screenshots of texts and pictures of the victim, Courtney Smith, the estranged wife of former Meyer assistant Zach Smith. McMurphy reported the abuse began in 2009 when Smith was on Meyer's Florida staff and continued until 2015 in Columbus, Ohio. During the Big Ten Media Days last week, Meyer denied having any knowledge of Smith's alleged abuse. McMurphy's report, cemented by those texts between Courtney Smith and other coaches' wives, including Urban Meyer's wife Sandy, cast enough doubt on Meyer's claim of innocence to force Ohio State to suspend their head coach while investigating the matter. Jake Marisnick was recalled from AAA Fresno to the Astros Wednesday in his first at-bat since rejoining his mates. He socked the two-run homer to set the pace in an 8-3 win at Seattle. Marwin Gonzalez double-dipped in the homer pool, and Dallas Keuchel won for the sixth time in his last 9 starts to clinch the series against the Mariners. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
This may be, singularly speaking, the longest post that anyone has put on my Facebook page ever.
You're welcome.
101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Erin off for the week, back on Monday. Bishop Larry Brandon from Praise Temple joins us just after 8 o'clock. He's been on TV like 3 times already this week, already this morning. And we're going to talk about his book and about the backpack giveaway and then just hang out. I had brought up earlier this morning, and we talk about it every now and then because Erin talks about the Allman Brothers Eat a Peach album, the music that had the most effect on your life. And I said, I don't have that. There is no album that changed my, even at the age of 17 or 18 or 19, where kids have these shining light moments where I've never heard anything like that. What is this? I have to have more of this. This changed everything about me. And Erin said, to a degree, that was what the Eat a Peach album by the Allman Brothers did.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said, and it was do we have time or can we do this after 8 o'clock?
Well, I think we're going to have to do this after 8.
If you get a sec, do me a favor. Put your Legend of John Henry's Hammer by Johnny Cash lyrics, put it on the KEEL page too.
All right.
Take a look at it. Read the lyrics. If you're familiar with the song, you don't have to, but Think about how, and Matt will explain how this is extremely pertinent to 21st century America in the encroaching digital age. It's pretty awesome.
It is.
757, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Here's Sean Hannity.
Your morning cup of Sean. This is the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
There's only one reason that Paul Manafort is on trial. Maybe he did violate the law. I have no clue. I just know it wouldn't be a case except that he worked for Donald Trump. But I'll tell you this. And when I said, well, when Mueller wanted everybody's phones that he had interviewed, I said, if I ever told somebody to do what Hillary did, delete the subpoenaed phones, acid wash them with bleach bit, bust them up into itsy-bitsy pieces, I don't think it would turn out the same way as it's turning out for Hillary. As a matter of fact, I even said it'd be a dumb idea. And the left on cue bubbled and fizzed like Alka-Seltzer. Hannity's telling them to destroy evidence. No, I said if you do it, you're stupid.
The conservative underground meets later today on the Sean Hannity Show.
What interest rate would you rather pay on your credit card debt? 17% or less than 6% APR? The answer is obvious, Lightstream. Because with Lightstream, you may be able to consolidate credit card debt and dramatically cut your interest rate to as low as 5.89% APR with AutoPay. Plus, radio listeners get an additional rate discount. Just go to lightstream.com/better. With average interest rates on credit card debt at 17% APR, Lightstream could save you thousands in interest. And because Lightstream is a division of SunTrust Bank, one of the nation's largest and strongest financial institutions, you can have complete peace of mind. The application takes just minutes, and there are no fees and no pressure. Just lower rates, one low fixed monthly payment, and huge savings. So if you have good credit, apply today and get a special interest rate discount when you go to lightstream.com/better. That's lightstream.com/better. Lightstream.com/better.
Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.5% autopay discount. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com for more.
Still keeping a close eye on a fallen tree blocking traffic on Line Avenue near Ratcliffe Street. And we're still looking at some heavy backed up traffic on Benton Road, just north of I-220 in Bossier City. It's backed up past Brownlee Road right now. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
KeelAccuWeather.com forecast, kind of sunny today, not as warm, only 90. I'm telling you, it feels like spring right now. 73 at Keel.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 1017 FM and 710 Keel. KEEL, Shreveport.
Good morning. It's 8:03. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Miss Erin back on Monday in the Erin chair. Matt has local news up next.
A woman is dead following a late-night shooting in Shreveport. We'll have some details on that. Some owners of a local massage parlor got busted for human trafficking, and they got a very light sentence. We'll talk about that. Plus, the 307th Bomb Wing gets their first female leader.
You said light, L-I-G-H-T. It sounded like you said life sentence. No,
light.
Light sentence.
Life sentence would have been more appropriate, but...
Bishop Larry Brandon from Praise Temple. He is a obvious media darling, and he'll tell us what's up just in a couple of seconds, plus lots more this hour. Fletcher and sports, traffic, and weather all on the way this hour on KEEL.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
A woman is dead following a late-night shooting in Shreveport. The shooting happened in the 1900 block of Alston Street around 8 p.m. Wednesday night. When officers arrived on the scene, the female victim was dead due to a gunshot wound to the abdomen. 2 people were in the house at the time of the shooting. They were both taken in for questioning in the case. 2 local massage parlor owners plead out in Caddo Court. Leanan Teenan and his wife Bing Bing Lee have pled guilty to various charges in a Caddo Court. The owners of the Palm Asian Massage Parlor were arrested last year on human trafficking charges. Tien pled guilty to the human trafficking charge and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. He will also have to forfeit all assets that law enforcement feel were used to facilitate the crime of human trafficking. His wife Bing Bing pled guilty to the lesser charge of money laundering. She was sentenced to 6 months in prison with credit for time served. The 307th Bomb Wing gets their first female leader. Colonel Courtney Hamilton has been named as the first female vice commander of the 307th Bomb Wing at Barksdale Air Force Base. Hamilton will assist Wing Commander Colonel Robert Van Hoy. Hamilton graduated flight school in 1999 and has logged more than 2,000 flight hours. She has spent most of her career as a fighter pilot and instructor. Did Attorney General Jeff Landry just jump into the 2019 governor's race? Matt Doyle has more on that.
Landry says if he ran, he'd beat Edwards, and that's from a recent interview with USA Today Network. UL Lafayette political science professor Pearson Cross says it's not official, but it certainly sounds serious.
I think he's trying the waters. He's saying, okay, can I be that guy?
And Landry's history shows he runs some tough races.
He will be a dogged campaigner and certainly not one to be taken lightly.
Cross says look for Landry to ramp up attacks on 2 issues in particular.
The death penalty, he's going to talk about the explosion in taxes that balance the state budget.
I'm Matt Doyle.
For the first time in years, Louisianans on the Affordable Care Act's individual markets will see a rate decrease. The 6.4% drop will be put in place for 2019. Blue Cross Louisiana spokesperson Robin Mayhall says after several years of rate hikes related to regulatory uncertainty surrounding the program, things have started to level out.
We have recently had a little bit more stability in the individual market. We've still had a few ups and downs, but it has been a little bit easier, I think, for us to predict.
Mayhall says the premium decrease is the result of a more profitable turn for the individual markets, and she says as a nonprofit, the company reinvested those funds into the program that generate lower rates. A train wreck causes major headaches in Bossier Parish. There were major traffic delays on Benton Road Wednesday afternoon after an 18-wheeler collided with a train. The accident happened around 2:30 near the old Hat Creek dirt pit. Luckily, no one was injured in the crash. And Papa John's founder says he should return as the chain's public face. John Schnatter says it was a mistake for the company to remove his image from its marketing after he acknowledged using a racial slur. He said in an interview with the Associated Press that his public presence can help the pizza chain once the public understands the context of his comments. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Nine past 8 o'clock, time for KEEL traffic. Ruben's ready.
Still keeping an eye on that slow-moving traffic on I-20 westbound near Spring and Market. And we're still looking at some heavy backed-up traffic on Benton Road just north of I-220 in Bossier City. It's backed up past Brownlee Road right now. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Sunshine with a high of 94 today. Clear, low 69 tonight. Sunshine, high 94 tomorrow. A shower or thunderstorm on Saturday. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Eleven past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. Miss Erin away for the week, back on Monday morning. KEEL app's a free download presented by Office Furniture Source. Sort of a tradition when Erin's gone. Sometimes when Erin's here, Bishop Larry Brandon from Praise Temple
yes,
in Shreveport on Greenwood Road joins us for a little bit. Welcome back. Great to see you.
Thank you so much. Thanks
you said
for
something.
having me.
You said something during the break I find hard to believe, but I want to throw this out and see how you respond. You said your father was an excellent singer.
Yes.
That your son Isaiah, who lives in Orlando,
Yes.
is a great singer. But
Yes.
you said that it jumped a generation. It skipped a generation.
It skipped me anyway.
Now, I am relatively.
I sing well in the shower.
I am relatively tone deaf.
Wow.
But wait a second. But because of my voice,
you have a wonderful voice.
People will say to me, I'll bet you're a great singer. In fact, a woman said to me once, I'm not making this up, I'm checking, and she said, you have a great voice. I said, thank you. I didn't mention I was in radio. She said, you have a great voice. I said, thank you. She says, are you an opera singer?
Opera.
And I said,
Opera.
not exactly. So my question is this: because of your voice, do people always assume that you're an awesome singer, and are you as tone deaf as me?
Yeah, well, I am as tone deaf or even worse than you are.
Congratulations.
Yes, indeed. But I do get that a lot, especially in elevators. Some ladies will ask, hey, you have a wonderful voice. Do you sing? And then shamefully, I would admit that I'm not a singer. And then I use my son. I said, but my son can.
If you pay
And my
me up
daddy
front,
used to.
I know a lot of tunes.
I'm telling you. But I do sing in the shower, and I sing quite well.
How was your Father's Day?
Yeah, listen, it was tremendous. My daughter asked me, what did I want for Father's Day? And I said, for my family to be together at one time. So we went to the Bahamas last week, the 5 of us. My son flew in from Orlando. My daughter is already in Atlanta, and my wife and my youngest, we met up, Wanda and Elijah, we met up in Atlanta, flew over to the Bahamas together. And it was it was the best Father's Day gift I've ever had.
Saw the dancing video.
These
You've
years.
got some moves, kid.
Listen,
You got some moves, kid.
My daughter. It's
Yeah,
my daughter.
yeah,
It's not me. I just followed her lead. But
She was leading.
because the members of the church said to me Sunday, we're surprised because you have no rhythm. And I almost resigned as their pastor.
No respect. No
None
respect in your own
whatsoever.
town.
None whatsoever.
What was the joke you did? How do your kids spell dad?
Yeah, my kid, they don't spell dad D-A-D, but ATM.
Nice. You have been this week.
Yes, indeed.
You have been all over. You are like this media darling all of a sudden.
You have a way with words. You're too kind. You're too kind.
Let's start with now on earlier in the week, I saw the TV interview, and this is going to be a very serious note because it has to do with not only your book, but also the L. Lawrence Brandon III.
Oh, yes.
Home for Boys,
That's right.
that is named after
Transitional
your
Home
son.
for Boys, right.
Tell us about the interview. Tell us about the status of the home. It's up and going.
But the home is up and going. And I'm telling you, first of all, I'm so excited and I'm grateful for the opportunity. But as I shared, that I really don't believe that I would have been involved with our Northwest Louisiana Community Development Corporation to open up a transitional home for boys.
Tell everybody what that is. If you guys don't know, listen to this.
Yeah. Well, my son, Larry Lawrence Brandon III, my namesake, was killed in March of 2009.
Right.
And I was so devastated being a man of the cloth and really serving the community. And I said, how could this happen to me and my with my family? And so I went through the stages of grief. And in that, I made up in my mind, I said, since the devil robbed me of my son and growing with him, that I'm going into the enemy's camp, his camp, and to pull out as many as I can that they may experience a higher quality of living and know who they are and become constructive citizens. So hence, I wrote the book Treasures in the Darkness and then opened the we call it Brandon House, but it's the LL Brandon, named after my son, the third transitional home for boys.
Let's start with what is the message of your book?
The message of my book is basically, and I'm in the process of writing another book, and it's going to be entitled Private Pain, but now, it won't say but now, but the premise of it is private pain and public victory. And so the book, the message in the book is that there is treasures in the darkness when you're challenged. And listen, grief is grief. It could be death, loss of job, as I have loss of hair,
It keeps me up at night.
But grief is grief. And so I've wrote in the book 8 stages of grief and to help people process the pain, to process grieving, because there's a such thing as good grief.
How does that kind of pain, how does that kind of loss, how does that kind of tragedy, how did that bring you closer to God? How did that make your faith stronger? Because it's so easy to go the other way.
Absolutely. And I was challenged that way. However,
were you really?
I was. Well, not to go the other way, but to give up on ministry. To give up as a preacher.
Really?
I was prepared to resign Praise Temple and just to give up on ministry. I was never going to give up on God. He is God. He is Lord. He's sovereign. love him so, was going to never give up on him, but I was going to give up on the assignment that he gave me because of anger. I was angry. I was upset and
angry at God.
Yeah, I was angry at God for well, I won't say God. I was angry with the devil, and angry with the people, who did this.
So how did you turn that around?
Well, again, in prayer. I'm crying out before the Lord. I took a long drive, was just really crying out before the Lord. And then that still small voice, he spoke to my spirit and reminded me of Scripture. And I went to Psalm 61, verse 1 through 2. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that's higher than I. And I began the healing process then. And even at my son's funeral, I stood in California. I stood and shared a few words within about 3 minutes and extended the altar call right after the preacher preached. And half of the church was filled with young people, approached the altar, men, women, boys, girls, especially young adults. They flooded the altars. Half of the church, I would say maybe conservatively speaking, 200 to 300, were at the altar, rededicating their lives, giving their lives to Christ. So where there was death, there was life.
Going to take a break. When we come back, I want you to tell folks about how this moment in your life was the seed, was the genesis for the Brandon Transition Home that is currently operating, what it does, and what it was that made you unable not to do this.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
19 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel traffic time. Ruben's ready.
Still keeping an eye on that slow-moving traffic on I-20 westbound near Spring and Market. And we're still looking at some heavy backed-up traffic on Benton Road just north of I-220 in Bossier City. It's backed up past Brownlee Road right now. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be sunny with a high of 94, then clear, low 69 tonight. Sunshine with a high of 94 tomorrow. A shower or thunderstorm on Saturday. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Twenty-one past 8 o'clock, Keel Sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Ohio State football coach Urban Meyer was placed on paid administrative leave Wednesday after Brett McMurphy reported the Buckeyes coach was most likely aware that an assistant on his staff had committed domestic assault. McMurphy, formerly with ESPN, reported his findings on his own Facebook page, producing damning screenshots of texts and pictures of the victim, Courtney Smith, the estranged wife of former Meyer assistant Zach Smith. McMurphy reported the abuse began in 2009 when Smith was on Meyer's Florida staff and continued until 2015 in Columbus, Ohio. During the Big Ten Media Days last week, Meyer denied having any knowledge of Smith's alleged abuse. McMurphy's report, cemented by those texts between Courtney Smith and other coaches' wives, including Urban Meyer's wife, Sandy, cast enough doubt on Meyer's claim of innocence to force Ohio State to suspend their head coach while investigating the matter. Jake Marisnik was recalled from AAA Fresno to the Astros Wednesday in his first at-bat since rejoining his mates. He socked a two-run homer to set the pace in an 8-3 win at Seattle. Marwin Gonzalez double-dipped in the homer pool, and Dallas Keuchel won for the sixth time in his last 9 starts to clinch the series against the Mariners. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
.101.7 FM, 710 Keel. So you were an altar boy like me.
Yes,
Bishop Larry
indeed.
Brandon is here.
Yes, indeed.
An altar, grew up an altar boy.
An altar boy. Never Catholic. Never taken catechism, but they were liberal in Oakland, California. Father Connor, Monsignor O'Brien.
Just short. And so tell them the story real quick. So you're an altar boy, and one of the duties of the altar boy, the acolyte, the server, is to bring the water and wine to the priest for the transubstantiation portion of the Mass, for the canon.
And I poured more wine than water.
Yeah.
And I stopped, and Father Connor gave me the signal, like, a little more. So that was too funny for me. But John Paul, when Pope John Paul I was elected, I had the opportunity of ringing the bell because I was a head altar boy. Get that?
Right.
Head altar boy. So I rang the bell. Then, of course, it was short-lived. And then Pope John Paul II was elected, and I rang the bell for him. And I'll never forget that. And then years later, I was able to meet Pope John Paul II.
What?
When I went over to Rome.
Seriously?
I thought I told you about that.
No.
I apologize. Years later, I think it was year 2000, because all the basilicas were open. Every 25 years, they were open the basilicas in Rome. And so I had a chance, to meet, and greet him with some other bishops, because I was studying the episcopacy at the time. Because I became a bishop. I'm sorry, I was studying for a bishop. I became a bishop in 1999. And so I was able to go over and, just experience that. It was a wonderful experience. And when I say he's a holy man, when he came in and came around, you felt the presence of the Lord. He was really a holy man. Yes, indeed. So that was a tremendous event for me, and I'll never forget it. Rome, Italy. Roma.
The L. Lawrence Brandon III Transitional Home for Boys.
Yes.
Which is named after your late son.
Yes.
And you sort of intimated something, and I hope I did not misread. Did you intimate earlier in the first segment that you don't think that you would have followed the path to build that home, gone in that direction to help these homeless, lost young men, if it weren't for your son's tragedy?
Absolutely. Well, we were doing a whole lot of other things, but when that happened, that's when I began the motto that, reminder, if you would, that men are protectors of the family. And I've noticed there's a lot of groups in our area that cater to girls, young ladies, etiquette training, fashion shows, and you name it, but you don't have a whole lot of opportunities for boys. And so I said, hey, we got to do something for these boys. These boys, they need etiquette training. Because
Which boys are you talking about?
We're raising
Who
up
is
ladies.
eligible?
We need gentlemen.
Who is eligible to enter
in our home?
Yes.
Yes. Well, in our particular home, we have a partnership with the Department of Child and Family Services. And so through them, they provide the boys. So there's some of the boys that are in the system. Some of them are homeless, or some of them are having challenges with family. It's unfortunate. Some have been abused, and you name it. And so these boys are sent to various facilities, and we're one of them. And we're just grateful for the opportunity. In fact, there's one young man, of course, I can't call his name, but there's one young man. He has been to several facilities, and I mean, just acting out. He's come to our facilities, and the caseworkers are commenting that his attitude has changed. He has improved.
Why?
Because normally,
why?
Because of caring, and I'm not suggesting that the other facilities are not, but I pride myself, humbly I state this, I pride myself and our workers that we have to love, we have to show care and genuine concern. And I share with the leadership, treat them as though they're your children.
Dr. Nick Getters, I don't know if you know Nick or not, he is the head of pharmacology, toxicology, and neuroscience. I can never get that right when he's here at the medical school at LSU. And he started, it's a transition home for methamphetamine addicts, female methamphetamine called Loving Solutions.
Yes.
And Erin is on his
a
board.
form or something like that. Yeah.
And he said, I said, what is the motivation? And I want you to relate to this and sort of comment on it. He said, I said, what's the motivation to dedicate so much of your life and your fortune and your time and your heart and your soul to this? And he literally responded, I could not do this.
See,
and that's exactly what you said.
That's where I am. And when I say I've invested a lot of my personal funds in this as well, because I want to see this through successful, because some of these boys, our boys, these are our children here in Louisiana. Some of these boys don't have another opportunity. They don't have another chance. Either it's prison for them or the grave. And so we're the alternative. We're the solution. And to see these boys light up, I'm telling you, and to see their attitudes change. In fact, on Easter Sunday, my wife took two of the boys out because other boys had family they could go visit. But there are two of the boys, their families didn't, I'm not sure all that happened, but they didn't have the opportunity to go with their families. We took them to lunch. And one young man was very, very quiet, didn't say a word. But then by the end of the dinner, we couldn't stop him from talking. We said, well, we have to go. We have to get back because of care. Caring is a virtue. We're better together, and that's my theme, my motto, I should say. We're better together, and that's the truth. And all we have to do is just show genuine care for one another. Each one will reach one, and we can make a difference. We can really take back our streets.
If somebody listening wanted to give you $1 or two or find out more about the Brandon home, what would they do? Where could they go online? Where could they find out more?
They can call us at 631-4428. That's 318-631-4428. We do have a GoFundMe. I'll post it on my page.
Awesome.
Yes, and I'll post it, and I'll send you the link as well, if you don't
Just
mind.
put it on my page.
I appreciate it.
Put that right on my page.
Well,
it would be awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But they can call us at 631-4428 or email us at Northwest Louisiana CDC at gmail.com.
Put it on my page.
I'll put it on your page. I'll do that.
Originally, I'd asked you to stay a half hour.
Yes.
But we haven't talked about the real important stuff yet. Backpacks and kids.
Oh, my gosh.
So can you stay another?
I would love to.
29 past 8 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Matt has local news up next. Right now, traffic. Here's Ruben.
Still have reports of a downed tree blocking traffic on Line Avenue near Ratcliffe Street. And we're looking at some slow-moving traffic on Swan Lake Road just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be sunny with a high of 94, then clear, low 69 tonight. Sunshine with a high of 94 tomorrow. A shower or thunderstorm on Saturday. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Hamilton graduated flight school in 1999 and has logged more than 2,000 flight hours. She spent most of her career as a fighter pilot and instructor. A woman is dead following a late-night shooting in Shreveport. The shooting happened in the 1900 block of Alston Street around 8 p.m. Wednesday night. When officers arrived on the scene, the female victim was dead due to a gunshot wound to the abdomen. 2 people were in the house at the time of the shooting. They were both taken in for questioning in the case. 2 local massage parlor owners pled out in Caddo Court. Leanan Teenan and his wife Bing Bing Lee have pled guilty to various charges in a Caddo Court. The owners of the Palm Asian Massage Parlor were arrested last year on human trafficking charges. TM pled guilty to the human trafficking charge and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. He will also have to forfeit all assets that law enforcement feel were used to facilitate the crime of human trafficking. His wife Bing Bing pled guilty to the lesser charge of money laundering. She was sentenced to 6 months in prison with credit for time served. Attorney General Jeff Landry says, quote, "There is no doubt that if I run, I'll beat John Bel Edwards, and you can tell him that." That's from an interview where the AG seems to throw down the gauntlet and do everything shy of outright saying he's running for governor in 2019. UL Lafayette political science professor Pearson Cross says Landry may be one person the governor doesn't want to see running against him.
Jeff Landry is a dogged campaigner. He will really stop at nothing. No one wants to run against Jeff Landry. Just ask Charles Bustani.
Landry and Edwards have gone back and forth since they both took office in 2015 in one of the state's most public and heated political rivalries. Louisiana Senator John Kennedy is pushing hard for work requirements for those receiving food stamps. Kennedy says that government assistance was designed to help people leave poverty, but it has ended up being a stopping place for many. Kennedy says that he wants an America that spends less on food stamps because fewer Americans will need help putting food on the table. He says his legislation would reform the program so it would work as originally intended. A train wreck causes major headaches in Bossier Parish. There are major traffic delays on Benton Road Wednesday afternoon after an 18-wheeler collided with a train. The accident happened around 2:30 near the old Hat Creek dirt pit. Luckily, no one was injured in the crash. And it's a serious look at a funny subject. The National Comedy Center is now open for laughs. The $50 million cultural institution is in Jamestown, New York, the hometown of famed comedian Lucille Ball. It tells the story behind mankind's efforts to evoke laughs from each other. The center was inspired by Ball. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Can you believe the Matt story? 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Robert and Erin. Miss Erin back on Monday. Bishop Larry Brandon from Shreveport's Praise Temple. Short segment. We'll come back to the backpack stuff, I promise.
Sure.
But Matt, you had mentioned in 2000 you went to Rome and you actually met Pope John Paul II.
Absolutely.
And Matt says, I think I can top that.
Well, I can't, but I did go to a Pope John Paul Mass at Camden Yards, Oriole Park, in I think it was 95.
How did you end up there?
Well, you know, I've told you before, my grandmother and my mother both work for the Orioles, so we got free tickets to everything.
Including the Pope.
Including the Pope. My grandmother, was super Catholic, went to the Polish mass where everything was in Polish.
Wow.
I like that. Super Catholic.
Well, I mean,
like she was one of the X-Men.
Well, I feel bad because I should be super Baptist, but I'm not.
But I mean, when she wasn't working at the park, she would work at the local church and do the fish fries and all that stuff. Anyway, but it was one of the most interesting experiences because it was a sold-out stadium. I don't know how many people.
About 40,000
At
or
least
more.
40,000.
Uh-huh.
And in every section, during the communion, there was a different priest working at each section to give communion to everybody.
Basically a hot dog guy with a chalice.
And to open the show, Boys to Men performed.
Boys to Men.
Wait.
Boys to Men.
They had these wireless mics set up, and they played.
Give us just a moment.
Right, to take it in. You got to take it all in. Boys to Men.
I mean, opening for the Pope is Boys to Men.
It was very strange. I think
only in Baltimore.
I think there's some video of it on YouTube, actually. But, they're doing their thing. They have wireless mics. The music's playing over the loudspeaker system. And the Pope's doing a lap in the Pope Mobile, just waving at everybody
And
driving
they're
on
doing
the
Boys to Men songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were they? Do you remember the songs?
I don't.
You don't remember?
I don't remember. I was
don't
probably
remember. Okay.
8 then or something. But
wow. And they were serving communion at the same time?
No, that was just to open the show. I don't think Boys to Men were anywhere near a microphone during communion.
8:39. It's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Bishop Larry Brandon in studio from Praise Temple. When we get back,
yes.
Today's the day, right?
For Bossier, yes, and
Today's
next
Backpack
Wednesday,
Day.
absolutely.
See,
for
we need to
Bossier, and next Wednesday for Shreveport.
We need to
so
get
perfect.
this straight.
Thank
need
you.
to figure it out when we come back. Right now, traffic update on Keel. Here's Ruben.
Still have reports of a downed tree blocking traffic on Line Avenue near Ratcliffe Street. And we're looking at some slow-moving traffic on Swan Lake Road just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Today will be sunny with a high of 94, then clear, low 69 tonight. Sunshine with a high of 94 tomorrow. A shower or thunderstorm on Saturday. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Good morning. It's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty. Miss Erin away for the day, which means she's missing Bishop Larry Brandon from Praise Temple. You know, I've told this story 100 times, and both on and off the radio. When we first met was going back to the early days of Villaggio.
That's right, yes.
Just as
Brother Seafood.
Totally unrelated. Do you know Pandorina Sumas?
No, I'm not.
She is a chef and author who had a small sort of specialty food store at Villaggio when it first opened. And I just wonder if you met. She's an awesome woman with a million amazing stories.
Wow.
Especially about her family going back to Creole, South Louisiana.
Wow.
And, I mean, an amazing woman.
Well, did she, was it the, the candies, was that, no, maybe not.
No,
Because,
she had, it was cookbooks and spices and recipes, and she's a chef, and I see her around every now and then. Just what a fascinating woman.
Met.
But The day that I met you was at Villaggio.
Yes.
And it was at the opening of Brothers Seafood when Chef Orlando first opened that.
Yes, indeed.
And you came in, and Erin said to me, she said, "That's Bishop Larry Brandon from Praise Temple." I said, I don't. The reason I asked who you were, because you came in, and I mean this in the most complimentary way. You owned the room.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
wow.
you just
Humbled by that.
well,
yeah,
people have
very
probably
humbled
picked up. You have a certain dynamism.
Right. Well, thank you.
And Erin said, if you ever want to get anything done in Shreveport, if you want to make something good happen, that's the guy you talk to.
Wow.
And one of the good things that you do is at the start of every school year for kids around Shreveport, not only Shreveport, but Bossier City.
In Bossier City as well. Yes, indeed. And this is our 19th annual backpack. Isn't it amazing? 19 years.
Oh, my gosh.
19 annual backpack school supply giveaway and prayer. You know, prayer is so important because, you know, last year we really didn't have the prayer, and we were at the convention center and, you know, trying to meet all these needs. But prayer is so important. We began as a result of the Columbine experience. And I said then that we need to pray for the children of Caddo, Bossier Parish, because we don't want that to happen in our areas. So for 19 years we've been doing this and giving away school supplies. We began.
So how did the school supplies and all of that grow from your praying to God to keep kids safe? How did?
Well, the first year we gave away 500 backpacks filled with school supplies to draw people in, you know, for the prayer. The mayor attended, all the mayors then, and of course school board members, what have you. And so it's been phenomenal. And for the last few years, we've given away 3,000 filled with school supplies. But this year,
what?
Yes, 3,000. We'll give away 500 tonight in Bossier City at Praise Temple of Bossier at the corner of East Texas and Hamilton Road. 500 tonight filled with school supplies, and there'll be food, fun, and fellowship. And then next Wednesday at Praise Temple of Shreveport on Greenwood Road, we're giving away 3,000 backpacks filled with school supplies, haircuts, Bossman's Barber College, and some of the beauticians will be on hand. Shots for Tots should be on hand. Blood drive, because we want to give back to the community. Life Share is going to be, name it.
Don't misunderstand. Not that you are not dynamic and
you're too kind,
irresistible.
To God be the glory. You're too kind
enough to do this on your own, but there have to be tons of people who have assisted you with this.
I can't take credit for it. We have so many wonderful people in the community. Praise Temple is awesome. Dr. John Maxwell said, if you're leading and no one's following you, you're just taking a good walk. And I'm grateful that I'm not just taking a good walk, you know, although I need to walk cardio. But work that out.
Fried chicken in the Bahamas. Right.
But I have some great people at Praise Temple, great staff at the Northwest Louisiana Community Development Corporation. So the Northwest Louisiana Community Development Corporation is handling the backpack school supply giveaway, you name it. And Praise Temple is hosting the prayer.
Businesses? Are there corporations with whom you have partnered?
We've partnered. We've partnered. I want to give a shout out to Rice and Kingdig associate Carl Rice and the Marshall Rice, Joel Rice. You know, they've helped Cattle Parish. We've partnered with them, and I'm grateful for all of our Cattle Parish commissioners and many organizations, the Bossman Barber College, others that are giving in kinds, and all of that's happening. And then Praise Temple. I can't leave out Praise Temple or some giving people, and we believe in giving back to the community. In fact, my wife shared one Sunday, if he could, he'll give it all away. He gives away more than he receives. And the Bible said in Acts, it's more blessed to give than to receive. I become so excited to give. I really am.
Really, we can hardly tell.
Well,
you're so emotionally muted, a man.
Well, listen, you're too kind, but I love giving back. And just to see, and even State Representative Barbara Norton partnered with her, giving away shoes, and she's given away more than 20,000 pairs of shoes for the last, I believe, 7 years. And so we partnered with her and contributed there, the shoe giveaway, because we want these children to return to school with shoes and school supplies. We don't want anything to hinder them from learning to do well, because education is their way out.
Well, and you are a big, and this ties back into your transition home for boys.
Yes.
You are a big I don't want to say the clothes make the man.
Yes.
But you are how you present yourself, and that leads to discipline.
Discipline is key, and that's what we teach our boys and instruct. That you have to be disciplined in every area of life. Financially disciplined, psychologically disciplined, physically, of course, disciplined with how you carry yourself and your posture and so forth, and then spiritually disciplined. And of course, in the boys' home, it's their decision. We don't point them one way or another, but they gravitate towards us because I guess we're a model to them. And so discipline is key, and that's something that I want to encourage. Most children want discipline because why would you, back in the day, you remember gangs were really, really high, if you would. There's a lot of gang activities. Why would you join a gang and you don't want discipline? I mean, you're disciplined. You have someone in charge in the game. You have to wear certain colors and what have you. That's discipline. And so children really want discipline, but they need those who are disciplining them to care for them. And that's all that people are looking for, especially our children, is somebody to care for them. And that's what we're providing. That's the type of environment we're providing at our boys' home, showing that we care. When they come in for the backpack school supply giveaway tonight and next Wednesday at Praise Him or Shreveport, we're showing them care. We're just not giving them backpacks filled with school supplies, but we're giving them love. We're showing care. And I share with people when I do something for them, because I pay college tuitions, I said, I don't want you to do anything for me. I want you to give back, basically pay it forward. Find someone else to be kind to them. Let's spread kindness. That's what we did for Anita Williams this morning.
Tell you what, hold that thought, because that was the second Larry Brandon TV appearance of the week. Sure. You were at the airport earlier today.
Yes.
Hang on a second. I want you to tell us that story. We'll have 2 or 3 minutes to wrap up.
Sure.
Bishop Larry Brandon, Praise Temple, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL Traffic, and Reuben.
Still keeping a close eye on that down tree blocking traffic on Line Avenue near Ratcliffe Street. And we have some traffic delays on Barksdale Boulevard near Hamilton Road in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Sunshine with a high of 94 today. Clear, low 69 tonight. Sunshine, high 94 tomorrow. A shower or thunderstorm on Saturday. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Listening to American Ground Radio's Morning Minute.
The U.S. economy added another 219,000 jobs in July, bringing the total so far this year to 1.4 million, and it's expected to keep going up.
And under typical liberal ideology, if someone is getting richer, that must mean that there must be more folks getting poorer. But you see, in a market society, the economy grows, and everybody is better off than they were before. That means that the rich do get richer, but the poor also get richer.
As President John F. Kennedy said, a rising tide lifts all ships.
American Ground Radio, where building a better America begins with building a better us. Return each weeknight from 6 to 7 p.m. with Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, and streaming live at KEELnews.com.
1017 FM and 710 Keel. Robert and Erin, Bishop Larry Brandon from Shreveport's Praise Temple is here. I saw you on TV this morning. You were at the airport. What was that about?
Yeah, at the airport with Anita Williams' family. Of course, we remember Renita, the young lady that was killed on Facebook by her estranged boyfriend.
Yeah.
Well, her mother and her children, she had 13-year-old, 7-year-old, 3-year-old that she left behind. So her mother, the grandmother, is caring for the children now. So we sent them to Disney World because school is getting ready to start. And this will be their first school season without their mom.
Wow.
You know, and so we wanted to send them, other than the church, to one of the most happiest places in the world. Disney World, Universal Studios. So they put them on a plane this morning, all expenses paid. And we just want them to go and have fun and enjoy life. And that will help with the healing process, especially with the court proceedings been going on and the mother need to have to hear, just to hear all
the
of
graphic
that.
details of her daughter's demise.
I can't even fathom that. But anyway, and she was crying all the way to the gate this morning, and just to give them that ounce of happiness. And I want to thank Praise Temple. Of course, my wife, Wanda, she and I given a lot towards this, but Praise Temple. And the reason I did it, and we shared publicly, because I'm a private person, that I do in private almsgiving. However, I'm answering the question because when there's tragedy, a lot of people always ask, well, most people ask, I should say, where's the church? And well, here's the answer. And so right after the funeral, I was in contact with her, calling her, checking on her, praying with her, checking on the children and what have you. And she mentioned that this morning. And so just showing that the church cares.
I hope I'm not crossing the line here. That's, to some degree, that kind of familial loss is something that you have experienced.
Absolutely.
And gives you an opportunity to show to someone else, in this case, a whole family, the personal path of recovery that you walked.
Absolutely. Been there, done that. Of course, I don't know how she feels. I'm not in her body, but I can not only empathize but sympathize with her. Been there, done that, because pain is pain. And so it was just very moving for me because it continued to help me to heal and to help her and especially the children with the healing process, because quite naturally these children, they miss their mom. And so to go to Disney World, to see them excited this morning, I mean, the little one was trying to pull the tickets out the machine herself, that just turned 5 years old. And, that was just exciting for me to see. And I tried to hold back the tears, and I did. I was successful, but it was just a beautiful thing to really give back this way. And so, again, I have to say thank you to Praise Temple, and thank you, my wife, Wanda Brandon, for pitching in. And then Isaiah, he worked the tickets for me in Orlando. Yeah. Yes, indeed. So
I apologize. Time for us to go.
Okay, no.
A pleasure as always,
Thank
my
you.
friend, Bishop Larry Brandon from Praise Temple. Wonderful to see you. Thank you for
Thank
your time.
you.
8:57. Here's Kim Commando.
Kim Commando with your Thursday Consumer Tech Update. Long before Google became the corporate monster that it is today, even before it became a publicly traded company, Google's founders adapted a simple code of conduct: don't be evil. Over time, this slogan became a thorn in Google's side as much of its day-to-day functions sometimes seemed to violate that old code. Fast forward to today, some 18 years later. Don't be evil has been officially erased from all of Google's public documents, which brings us to today's point. This week, Google, a company built upon the concept of a free and open global internet, whose contents can be searched from any computer anywhere in the world in less than a heartbeat, is proposing to the Chinese government a censored version of Google. Anything that the Chinese government does not want its oppressed people to see will be filtered out. A free and open internet, it's clearly not. Whether that's a form of evil, I'll leave it to you to decide. I'm Kim Commando. With today's high-definition screens, the designers put all their efforts into stunning video quality. But audio dialogue is often hard to understand, so you're constantly changing the volume. The answer is revolutionary: Aftermaster Pro. With Aftermaster Pro, you'll experience a new level of sound clarity. Aftermaster Pro transforms television audio from virtually all audio-video sources, raises and clarifies dialogue and vocal levels, while making all surrounding audio sounds substantially clearer and leveled. Simply plug into your TV using the included HDMI cable. Everything becomes crisp, clear, and understandable using your TV's existing speakers or soundbars. Aftermaster Pro is no bigger than your smartphone. Visit AftermasterPro.com, use promo code KIM, and hear what you've been missing. You'll get $25 off this breakthrough technology. AftermasterPro.com, promo code KIM. That's AftermasterPro.com, promo code KIM.
Still have reports of a downed tree blocking traffic on Line Avenue near Ratcliffe Street. And we're looking at some slow-moving traffic on Swan Lake Road just north of I-220 in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
101.7 FM, 710 KEEL, AccuWeather.com. Forecast kind of sunny today, not nearly as warm. What? Upper 80s to near 90. Right now, 76.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.